Alright, this video is going to be similar to the video where I just talked about Star Wars while playing CubeCraft Sky Wars, except I'm going to be getting a bit more personal with this video. I'm going to be talking about my worst injury. So, I have had a fair amount of injuries. I've done a lot. I've broken both my wrists, I've broken my arm clear through, I've torn my MCL, I've broken a couple fingers. Like, I've done my amount, and I'm only 17, so I feel like I've done enough for my entire life. But I'm going to be explaining just kind of what happened to all of them, but also what happened to my very, very worst injury, which is actually crazy. Like my worst injury happened this March, so it was pretty recent, and I'm telling you, it was the craziest experience in my life. But we'll get to that. First, I broke both my wrists. One wrist I broke by doing a flip off a swing. So, I mean, that I kind of deserved breaking my arm. Like, I don't know if you guys know, like, in elementary school or whatever, when there's a swing set and there's, like, the chains, and I would, like, pull on the chains, and as the swing was going up, I would do a backflip off it and land on my feet. I was super cool. The duties or whatever, the people at recess would always get super mad at me for doing it, but, you know, I was so cool. I was a cool 5th grader. It was all right. But I ended up, one time, I messed it up and broke my arm, so maybe the duties were right. But next up was, again, this is my left arm this time, I was doing flips off a trampoline without a net onto the grass, which, I mean, you know, you would think would be super cool. I had done it a couple times before, but one time I just messed it up, over-rotated, and just landed on my arm, broke my wrist again. So those are pretty much, or not pretty much, those are definitely my fault. Just stupid on my part, but it was I only was in the cast for 4 or 5 weeks, and then I was good to go. I tore my MCL my freshman year, so 2-3 years ago. I Nordic ski, and I was going down this hill, and it had a massive log jump at the end. This wasn't a groomed hill. We were just going down like a powder hill on Nordic skis. And I hit the log jump once with my friends, and we were all doing great. Like, it was all fun and games. We all hit it once, happy. My friends were like, all right, let's go back to the team now. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it one more time, like the idiot I am. So I went, first time, no injuries. Second time, I hit it and just landed wrong. My knee just, like, bent the wrong way, or, like, it went sideways, and I tore my MCL. It's like tearing your ACL is like the inside of your knee. The MCL is on the other side of it. So I just tore my ACL, but just on the opposite side of the knee. So that one was a bit more recent. I mean, as in a couple years ago. I was on crutches for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I had this brace for like 4 weeks after that. That was a bigger one. I even got, since we were up at the mountain when this happened, I got carried out by a coach to the car, and then we went zooming down. It was pretty cool, or not cool, but it was a pretty crazy experience. A little freshman year me. It was super embarrassing though, because while I was getting a piggyback ride like to the car, the entire team was just kind of sitting there watching, and I have no shame to admit that I was crying. Like, which was pretty sad. It was embarrassing, and I was crying because it hurt, and then because of the embarrassment. Just overall, not a fun experience. Crazy experience, but not fun. I would not suggest it. If you are Nordic skiing and you happen to go down, if you happen to see a log jump, do it once. Not twice, just once. That's my word of wisdom. And I broke my fingers. That's just because of a bunch of stupid stuff. So that stuff doesn't really matter. But now we're on to the big injury. This is like the biggest deal. This is the big one. This happened recently. If somebody's broken their arm or leg or something, you guys know what it's like. I was playing basketball. So this was last year. So I was a junior in high school. We had this class called Team Sports. And we were playing basketball, and I'm 6'1", so I'm pretty tall, I'd say. I'm the tallest one in my family, and I'm like, so therefore I'm okay at basketball. I mean, if you get me the ball and I get close to the hoop, I can lay up pretty well. I can't shoot for crap, but the point is that I'm okay at basketball. But we were running back. The other team just got the ball, and they were running to their side of the hoop. I wasn't even near the ball. I'm telling you, like, this is PE. I wasn't trying that hard. So I was just kind of jogging from one side of the court to the other side of the court just to, you know, keep up with the ball or whatever. Did not have it, was not sprinting, just jogging. And I tripped over my own feet and snapped my arm right in half. Like, I am not even kidding. Like, it was bent. It was like a Z. Like, it looked like an S. It was crazy. Like, and it was, I swear, all the flips I was doing and everything, I just got small breaks. I literally tripped over my own feet and just snapped it through both bones in my forearm, snapped it right in half. So that, like, it was insane. Immediately the game kind of stopped. Everyone looked, and I just stood up, and my arm was just all wiggly, and oh my gosh, so many people were like yelling and not really screaming, but they're like, oh my gosh. So that was crazy. And then I stood up, and I'm telling you, like, I kid you not, I was in so much shock that I didn't feel anything. Like, literally not. Like, I had felt no pain. Like, I just looked down, and I was scared because my arm was noodled, but, like, I felt no pain. So I of course went running. It was a substitute teacher though. I feel so bad for that sub. I have not seen them since. They probably like did not enjoy that experience at all. So I went running up to them, and I think all I said on repeat was like, I need help, I need help, I need help. I was in shock, okay? So my brain wasn't working. I just said that like on repeat. It was so annoying. And kids were kind of losing it. A couple kids were like following me to the substitute, and it was just, yeah. So he was like, oh crap, okay. So then we immediately started walking down, and at this point, like, the pain was starting to creep up. Like, now it didn't hurt, but I definitely felt like, oh, there's a little bit of pain there. It was starting to creep up. So we're just walking through the commons, like the middle section of the high school, and all the kids are kind of like looking at, like, what the heck, like, what is that? Whoa. And I was walked to the counselor, and I just kind of sat down at a chair. At this point, we were still wearing masks, so I was allowed to take off my mask and kind of breathe. And being in shock is such a weird experience, because it's like your brain just stops working. Like, they asked what my parents' phone number was, and I could not remember. Like, it was just, which I could say it right now. I'm not going to, because I don't want you guys to be creepy. But I just couldn't remember. I couldn't even think what it started with. Like, it was ridiculous. I couldn't remember anything. And here's the funny part, is that my brother had surgery 2 days before I broke my arm. Because on his kidney just decided to blow up or something like that. So my parents, who are both teachers, decided to take Monday off and say, you know what, we're gonna go skiing, just take 1 day to relax because the weekend was so stressful. And that day that they took off of school so that they could relax, I broke my arm. So they were up at the mountain having a great time, bonding, skiing, and then they get a call saying that I was going to go to the ambulance and that I had broken my arm pretty bad. Also, here, I'm just going to show you just some photos. This was taken in the little counseling room, and so just so you can understand how crazy this was. So here's the photo of me right after I fell. So you can already see that it's a little bent. No face reveal yet, but still, you can see that it's a little bent and that it's not good, but you can't even see it that well. Here's the photo from the counseling room. It is, I'm sorry, I should have given a little warning or something, but no, it is terrible. Like it is all bent. I look like I have 2 elbows. Now, this photo literally went all around my school. Like, I heard from my friends that, like, a week after, like, everyone had that photo. Everyone was talking about me. So, I mean, it was kind of nice, you know. I was, like, kind of famous. Not really me. My arm was famous for, like, 2 weeks. So, that was pretty cool. And, sorry, the recording sound is going to be a little different since I had to change locations. But anyways, we'll go right back to the story. That now you know the photos. Now you know, like, how crazy it was. Like, I was truly injured. Like, this is scary. At this point, my pain was going up. Like, I was starting to lose it. The pain was going up exponentially. I was starting to hurt now, like, pretty bad. So there was lots of people in the room. They had called, since my parents were in the mountains, they called an ambulance to come over and pick me up, which might have been a little bit of overkill, but still. So they all rushed in, you know, they had the things, they were putting the IV in. There's, you know, I was starting to bleed out of my veins and everything because they stabbed with the IV. I've never had a fear shots, but if you did, IVs are not it. Like, they're pretty lame. But they were asking me all sorts of questions, like, where does it hurt? They were wrapping up my arm. They were taking my temperature, like, all sorts of this stuff. And it was such a blur. Like, I'm telling you, shock is a weird experience. If you guys have been in shock, you know what I'm talking about. And then they put me into a stretcher, then they were like, which was, again, a little bit of overkill, but it doesn't matter. I was onto a stretcher and wheeled out of school. There was a big crowd, like, all this kind of sitting there, like, what is happening? I am proud to say that I was not crying yet. Once I got into the ambulance, I have no shame to admit that I was. But at that point, I was not. So, you know, I looked pretty tough, which is always a good thing. The ambulance ride took forever. They gave me just to help with the pain, because at this point, it was hurting a lot. Like, terrible. And so they giving me this thing that makes you really tired. It makes the pain go away, and it makes you relax, because it makes you, like, go to sleep, pretty much. So that was probably almost the worst experience, was them giving me stuff to go to sleep, but then they were forcing me to stay awake. It was so mean, because I would just close my eyes for like 3 seconds, and they'd be like, no, keep your eyes open. It was very annoying. So the drive, which is usually like 10 minutes, felt like it took an hour, and they didn't even turn the sirens on. I mean, that ambulance ride cost us like $2,000 just to drive me there, and they didn't even turn the lights on, so really not worth it. But I was able to get to the hospital. My parents were, you know, my dad was cruising back, so they met us at the hospital. And then from there, I was put on some pretty heavy medication, and I was just kind of there. they kind of got everything situated. Then they said, we're going to need to straighten out the arm. They took x-rays to ensure that it was broken, which I think you could tell it was already broken, but whatever. They did the x-rays and decided that they were going to straighten it out that day. They put me on this terrible drug called ketamine. It is supposed to make you extremely, extremely confused, but then you're not supposed to wake up. However, I remember this. They're like, oh, that's you. Like, that's not enough ketamine. We should put them on a little bit more. And the doctor or whatever was like, nah, that'll be fine. It's a little bit less, but not like it, but it'll still be fine. And I remember so much more than I'm supposed to. They said you're not supposed to remember any of it, and I feel like I remember most of it. It was like, since I stayed stationary the whole time, but I felt like I was moved all over the hospital. I remember, like, we were at the hospital because somebody broke their arm, but I couldn't, like, think of who. Like, this ketamine drug was doing wonders to me. At one point, they asked me to open my eyes, and I kid you not, I opened my eyes, and everything was moving. Like, it looked like a Picasso painting. It was, like, it was crazy. It was the craziest drug I've been on. The ketamine I do not suggest for anyone. It is terrible for your brain. Like, oh, it was crazy. They just, like, put my arm on a rack, and the doctor just kind of put his hands in a circle and just strained it out. Just ran his hands down and just straightened it out. So my parents said that was crazy to watch, and since my confused brain, I was just saying, ow. Since I hurt a little bit, but not much. So I was kind of like, they said that I was just kind of laying there. He was working on my arm and straightening it out, and I was just kind of laying there with my eyes closed saying, ow. Like, I can't imagine. I wish he got a video. But yeah, so I was there for a little while. After I came back from the drug, they sent me home, and I was going to have surgery the next day. So that day, honestly, when I got back, I think it was because I was so drugged up, but the pain wasn't that bad, honestly. Like, I was feeling pretty mid. I got back, like, wow, that was a crazy experience. It kind of hurt to look at a TV, but overall, it wasn't terrible. I was doing okay. And I'm like, okay, tomorrow I get the surgery, and then things will be getting a lot better. So things were kind of looking on the up and up. However, I went in for the surgery, feeling good. Everyone was nice. I was talkative, not happy, of course, but I wasn't, like, super sad or anything. Like, I was fine. I was excited to get my surgery done and be done with it. They were going to give me 2 plates and 8 screws in my arm just to keep the bone there. However, after the surgery, oh my gosh, I was in so much pain. I don't know if there was just less drugs in me, or if the surgery just made it so much worse, or maybe both, but I was in so much pain. That night after my surgery was, like, one of the worst nights. The only night worse than that was when I had my appendix out. Like, I was in so much pain. My arm was constantly just hurting and aching constantly. I wasn't allowed to look at a TV or look at my phone or anything because my brain was all out of whack, and I would just kind of sat there. And nothing, no food seemed good, water didn't seem good. Like, I just sat there in pain, like, all night. It was terrible. And I had this massive bulky cast on. But, you know what, it was all right. As weeks went by, I started getting better and better. It was about 3 months of recovery, or 13 weeks, so just over 3 months of recovery. And that was a bummer. It took a long time. I couldn't run or do any activities that I liked to do. Team sports was out of the question. But I'll kind of show some videos of the braces and of the scars. Here's, like, when I first got off, and it looks gnarly. Like, I mean, it's, like, purple and colored and gross, but it was getting, like, it was getting better. I can't imagine what it looked like opened up. And then here's the brace. This brace was kind of cool. It kind of looked like a robot. It was like a mannequin arm, but on top of my arm. And then here it is, looking better. And then here's the modern pic. Like, I'll show you. I don't have the picture right now, but I'll take it after recording. I have this super cool scar right now that I like. Super cool to show off and everything. So that's what I'm carrying around right now. You can maybe barely see it. When I did a hand cam once, I think you might be able to see the tip of the scar. But if I ever do hand cam again on one of my videos, you'll be able to see, like, the scar. Like, it's pretty easy to see, and it's there for sure. Just since it literally happened, like, this March. I was clear to do activities and stuff, like, early June. So I mean, this is still recent. I get the plates out here. Oh yeah, here's the pictures of the x-ray after the surgery. So here are the plates and screws. It's a little blurry, but you can kind of see it. So that's in my arm. Walking through an airport, it literally goes off, and they have to, like, scan it and make sure I'm not, like, concealing a weapon inside of my arm, which is kind of lame. But I'm planning on having them removed in September. September is when, it's not scheduled, but that's our hope, is to get them removed. So I'll keep you guys updated with that. Come end of September or something, I might not be able to play for a bit, because when they mess with your arm, it kind of, like, messes with your nerves. And then, like, my thumb didn't really work for a while, so I couldn't really play that much because my thumb just kind of stopped moving. So I'm guessing after the surgery, my scheduling might drop a little bit. But that was, without a doubt, my very craziest experience. The only one that might be somewhat close second would be my appendix out. If you guys have had your appendix out, it is bad. It hurts a lot. It's like put up there next to like labor. Like it's a bad feeling. But this is overall, the appendix was only one night. This arm thing lasted a long time. Like this was a long injury. So that was my craziest injury. Just overall crazy experience. It happened this year, and I kid you not that my parents had to go through 2 surgeries within 3 days. And so my brother had surgery on his kidney. I had surgery on my arm, and my dad had a broken hand from skiing. So I'm like, the guys in our family, because then I have a sister and my mom, the guys' side of our family were just injured. Like, it was terrible. Like, our house was a little infirmary. Like, it was bad, but overall crazy experience. Let me know in the comments what's your craziest, or make a video and just tag me in it about what your craziest like injury was, because I kind of like telling stories and hearing stories about injuries. It's always kind of fun and stuff. So if you have had something crazy like this, let me know. And if I'd see like the age rating thing on YouTube Studio, and most of you guys are you between 8th and freshman year about. So just saying, come junior year, you guys might have the same experience as me. You guys could still be broken. So that's something fun to think about. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. It's kind of fun talking, but it makes for long videos. So, but yeah, anyways, let me know in the comments what your injury is. Thank you for watching.